That's Queer Up Business. Jen Psaki points out Fox News calls to boycott woke products while supporting LGBTQ plus causes.
So you may have noticed Republicans really like to pitch themselves as the pro-business, anti-cancel culture party. But they have a big carve out for businesses that openly promote LGBTQ plus rights. You've probably seen some of these headlines. Brands like Bud Light, retail chains like Target and Kohl's, teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers, all facing outrage from the right for their LGBTQ plus partnerships and merchandise. They've melted down over a trans woman receiving a personalized beer can. They nearly lost their minds over the sale of pride flags on kids' clothing and the fit of some swimwear. That's what's animated these right-wing boycotts. But all of this outrage and these boycotts from the wing of the pro-business party is actually hurting the bottom line for some of these companies. And Fox News can't get enough of it somehow.
Jen Psaki, a former White House press secretary for the Biden administration, pointed out how Fox News' outrage over businesses promoting LGBTQ plus rights doesn't exactly ring true. Psaki highlighted how, despite Fox News' recent, as she calls, eerie-looking tweet attacking Target for supporting GLSEN, an organization whose goals are ending discrimination and bullying based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression in K-12 schools. Its parent company, Fox Corp, actually supported the group in 2021. Psaki asked why figures on the right were so outraged about Pride celebrating merchandise now, given how many of the companies have embraced it for years. She went on to claim that Fox News' apoplectic coverage of everything from rainbow clothes for kids to fast food chain appointing a diversity, equity, and inclusion vice president 2 years ago is actually quite awkward. The tweet in question, posted by Fox News, reads, "Target takes aim. The retail giant provides annual donations to GLSEN, which calls for gender ideology to be integrated in all classes, even math." Well, it includes a graphic of a faceless person in a hood holding up a finger in a silencing motion alongside the text, "Retailer partners with an organization that encourages secret gender changes among children in schools." Now, I don't know. I know that we just saw a video about it hurting organizations' bottom dollar, but from what I understand, it really hasn't. The more publicity you get from these outrages, the more branding, marketing, and revenue. What I don't understand is how we are still talking about it. Well, we know Fox News is a bit hypocritical. Am I right? I mean, just because they are, or rather their anchors are having a stance in one way doesn't mean the organization has a stance the other way.
Well, I spent most of my career working in television news, and I've got a lot of friends, an ex even, that works or worked at the channel for a long, long time. And they've had these policies for years. Like, I think 10 years ago, they adopted a pro-trans employee policy. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, is that a lot of these are motivated by by states. Like New York, where Fox News headquarters is, says you have to acknowledge these rights. So for them to operate in a state like New York or California, they have to have it, and it's easier to implement it company-wide than do it state by state. So, but they're by no means altruistic in they're trying to do this. And honestly, the opinion editors or opinion anchors at night, so the Hannitys and all that, I don't even remember who's there anymore, but they drive the bus. It's an old boys club. It's a good old boys club there. So just because these policies are there doesn't mean A, Fox wanted to implement them, or two, that they really believe in them on screen and even behind the scenes.
I agree, and I don't think they're talent, so they're not really corporate America. The people behind kind of the closed doors are actually kind of the operations, and I do believe they're probably a bit more inclusive than they let on to be.
Yeah. The important thing, and what if you've never seen Jen Psaki, I can't listen to Jen Psaki without hearing Psaki bomb to the tune of the Runaways Cherry Bomb in the back of my head.
Amen to that.
Thank you, Stephanie Miller. Anyway, we need to keep pointing out and calling out the hypocrisy. That's just the bottom line, is that we just need to keep calling it out. You know, eventually, I think it goes to the old adage, if you give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is another situation where a corporation is not just hypocritical, but is also, I don't know how to explain this. It is taking advantage of the moment. And unfortunately, every international corporation, I don't care if it's Anheuser-Busch or Mercedes-Benz or whoever it is, wherever they're landed in the world, you have so many different cultures and so many different diversity groups that you have to pay attention to regardless, that you're always in trouble for one thing or another, whether it be intentional or not. But in the Fox situation, it's truly intentional. And for that reason alone, we need to highlight it, and we need to remind people that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth to your personal benefit.
Well, and how about these retailers? I mean, how do we feel about, Target pulling back and taking some of these?
Well, we have a story about that soon, here in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth talking about.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show from Happening Out Television Network. In the model of PBS and NPR, we educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the stories going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.